I would like to start off by telling all of you here, I am not here to talk about education. I am not here to talk about apps. I'm only here to tell you that all of you are going to die a horrible death. Me, Ma'am, Aniket, Kaveri, all of you are going to die a terrible, terrible, horrible death. And I know that's extremely bleak, and even my mother tells me I'm a very big naysayer. But unfortunately, that is the truth. And we are so busy with our lives that we often forego this thing. To start off with, I'm not sure if many of you have heard of him. His name is René Magritte. He's a French surrealist painter, and he was known to capture objects from daily life and relate to them in such a manner that his voyeurs, the people who would actually look at the painting, they were forced to reconsider the hierarchy of our society. One of his most famous creations was the treachery of images. Ceci n'est pas une pipe. This is not a pipe. Well, what is he talking about? Of course this is a pipe. It looks like a pipe. I could pick it up from there and I could start smoking. It is a pipe. No, my friends. The thing is, all of us assume that this specific sentence, I'm going to abandon this for a moment because I'm not good with this. This specific sentence is a reference to this pipe. This is the truth about the human condition, assumptions, the treachery of image. In fact, this sentence in itself is not a reference to this, but this word. You're confused. What is he talking about? Is he off his rocker? Well, I might as well be, but I will try. Close your eyes for a few brief seconds and think of any object in the whole world. Done? Now, I can guarantee you that when you did so, a word associated with that object came into your mind. If you thought of a stone came into your mind. If you thought of a chair came into your mind. The truth about the human condition is, my friends, that we associate everything in a hierarchical manner. We take chaos, and like any other normal computing system, input, processing, output. Take chaos, we process it in our heads, and the output is the reaction to that stimuli. We take wood, we turn it into chair. We take metal, we mold it into shapes. Somebody took some lights and stuff and they made this sign for that matter. Humans are the only assigning factor on this planet. We came out of our niche and we created the world around us, and we have to be mighty proud about that, don't we? But then again, as Carl Sagan once said, if you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. I would like to begin 13.5 billion years ago. We don't know what was happening then. We didn't even know if time in itself existed. We call this the Planck era. Suddenly, probably out of nothingness, a singularity appears, so dense that nothing will be denser than this, ever. And it expands like anything, like nothing will ever expand. This, my friends, is the universe. Subatomic particles are created, atomic particles are created, molecules are created, the universe in itself forms. And going back to 500 million years ago, life on Earth shapes up as a few chemicals combine together and form the first proper creature which we can call an animal, the trilobites. But then disaster strikes, the first extinction level event, and we have what we call the aquatic life. These are the creatures that survive. Going forward, a second disaster strikes, a second extinction level event. But then again, life strives. We get amphibious life. Life goes from aquatic to land. And then a third extinction level event strikes, and we get Spielberg's dinosaurs here. Interesting fact, the Tyrannosaurus Rex had feathers, but I'm pretty sure most of you probably knew that. And now, for the fifth and the final extinction level event, which wipes the dinosaurs off the face of the planet, life still survives. In the form of a small species, mammals. Jumping to 65 million years ago, this mammal turns into our brethren and evolves into what we are today. Now, interestingly, none of us actually knew about this as such until a person called Charles Darwin discovered this. He wrote the book Origin of Species, in which he described not only this, but two other things as well. He talked of evolution as such, and he broadly described the process of evolution into two different categories, hierarchies again. Natural selection and artificial selection. Now look closely, it gets interesting here. These two species, animals, whatever you may call it for this specific picture, are separated by 65 million years of evolution. There are very slight differences between us and our primate brethren as such. We are, of course, the more intelligent of the lots. But then again, natural selection. It's basically biology taking a pin and hitting it on the wall and hoping that it sticks. It's slow, it's baggy, it's practically like your grandma, though I'm not supposed to say that. Yeah, exactly, I was not supposed to say that. Anyhow, on the other hand, you have this suave, this stylish, this macho-esque, muscular thing called an artificial selection. Look closely. 65 million years? Well, I give you 40 years. That computer is separated from that phone by 40 years. It's 10 times the size, my friends, while this specific phone has 10 times the calculative power of that computer. Artificial selection is much like natural selection, except it is guided by thought, by human will and a specific image when you start off. This is the evolution of technology. 200 years back, when somebody invented a specific machine as such, they were probably ridiculed, outlawed. And over the years, we came to where we stand today. And my friends, I would be happy to tell you that it has been confirmed that quantum computing exists. We are in the process of making quantum computers now. But then you might wonder, what is he talking about? Again, he's talking about humans? Is he talking about machines? Is he talking about humans and machines? Well, how do we define a machine? What separates us from the machines? Our biological state, the body which we possess, our senses, our emotions, our creativity, our soul. No, I'm just joking. That's all. That's not true. None of them, in fact. Then one might ask, what truly separates us? And so it seems we're back in the land of... No, we're back. Okay, let's carry out a small experiment here. Let's take the planet. Zoom into one city. Take a specific individual and further zoom into him, his skin. Further zooming in into the cells which make up his skins. And further zooming into the molecules and the atoms which make up his skin. We could go a step further and go into the subatomic level. But we choose not to. That's not required here. Those same molecules and atoms make up the circuits which make up the machines which run our hospitals, our schools, our offices, our world. How can we say biological state in itself is separate from a mechanical state? Only the distinction being that we are biological machines and they are mechanical machines, if I may say so. Senses. We often pride in the fact that we are extremely advanced when it comes to our sensory perception, to be honest, but that is not true, my friends. This is the amount of light which we can see. This is our scope of the electromagnetic spectrum, the visual spectrum. It consists of three primary colors, red, blue, and green. My friends, there is an animal out there called the tiger mantis shrimp, which can see not 4, not 5, 15 individual saturated colors. That is 12 colors more than us. That's a world which we will never be able to explore in our biological state. Same goes for our auditory perception. 20 to 21 kilohertz, well, 100 kilohertz. Same goes for our olfactory, our oral, and our sensual senses for that matter. And one might say, or one might quote Matthew McConaughey from Interstellar, love transcends the boundaries of space and time. Well, I'm really sorry, it doesn't. No, it really doesn't. In fact, love in itself is bound by an intricate process of biochemical processes going on inside our heads. Not things, processes going on inside our heads. 55%, oh, I was waiting for that, yeah. Can you increase the volume for a moment, please? Brings out the poet in me. 55% body language, 38% in tone and spread of the voice, 7% content. There are 3 stages of this. Lust. A human can decide if he wants to mate with a person amidst a time period of 90 seconds to 4 minutes. Talk about love in first sight. This is controlled by testosterone in males and estrogen in females. You look at it and oh my, oh my. That is not you, my friends. That is testosterone and estrogen acting up inside your body. And then when you're done with the fun, you start thinking, you feel that rush, that excitement, which is again not you. It's adrenaline and cortisol telling you that this might be the person I will be spending the rest of my life with. And then you feel a gush of pleasure and energy, high dopamine levels. Well, I would like to add here, when that individual actually ends up leaving you, you get a gush of low dopamine and you feel like crap. That's also a fact. Again, not your fault, biochemical. Low serotonin, obsession, attachment, oxytocin and vasopressin. The thing which binds your mother to your father, to you and to the rest of your family. The tone which you heard back then while I was explaining was actually created by this computer called Emily Howell. And her father, David Cope. If our emotions are not governed by us, they're governed by biochemical processes, and even our creativity cannot separate us from the machines, then what truly does? I'd like to ask 3 different questions here. If a life force or a soul can exist in biological hardware and software, can it not, in theory, in practice, exist in mechanical hardware and software, considering the fact that the basic building blocks are the same? If atoms which make up our cells are not alive, how can we claim to be? How can we say that we are alive? How can I claim that I am alive? After all, I am a biological machine. And the last, it's a grammatical one, the last one. Should the proper noun for a human not be we rather than an I? Because let's face it, we are a colony of these cells coming together. This illusion of an I, well, if I'm not an individual, I'm made out of different parts coming together to form this individual, so should it not be a we rather than an I? The truth about the human condition again. The definition, Google defines a machine as an apparatus using mechanical power and having several parts, each with a definite function and together performing a particular task. My arm does not perform the function of my kidney. My bladder does not perform the function of my mouth. Neither my foot performs the function of my brain. And my eyes do not, definitely not perform the function of my knees. So then are we not a machine? Are we not a machine? Is life and death not literal illusions? When we are born, we are unable to form memories because we are in the infancy. But after a certain period of time, we start forming these memories when our system stabilizes. And then again, when we approach old age, it deteriorates up until the time we cease operations, if I may say so, and spread back, giving up all of the atoms and molecules which make us up. Interestingly, again, I'm pretty sure you guys know this, amidst a period of 7 years, this is science, this is hardcore science, my friends, not one single atom in your body remains the same. You're a clone of your former self. Your information being carried on from gene to gene. There are only 3 things which separate machines from us: intelligence, aging, and time. How so? Well, intelligence. We are in a constantly fixed state of intelligence. I'm pretty sure you don't wake up in the morning and go, Eureka, I think I've turned into Einstein. I can go and solve 100 different questions of maths. No, you don't. I've tried it, you don't. It stays the same always, almost up till the end of your life. Machines, on the other hand, they can increase their intelligence. We can add more processing units to a specific machine, and we can increase its rate of processing. We can make it more intelligent, to say so. We can make the software more wicked, more sharper, even self-learning for that matter. Flexibility versus rigidity. Our age. Each one of us has an expiration date, my friends. We know for a fact that in the future, not today, not tomorrow, probably today, probably tomorrow, who knows, we might die. The machines, on the other hand, have the free will of not dying, I guess. The PowerPoint presentation which I created, if it was considered a soul, then my desktop, I just took the soul from my desktop and I transferred it to this specific computer here. So in reality, does that not exist in this computer? Which basically means it did not die. Again, it's a metaphor. It gets slightly confusing here. And finally, time. This specific thing, again, might be slightly confusing. Our perception of time is so rigid in nature that we often bypass this. For us, the smallest moment of time which we can feel is probably a microsecond. Like, I'm doing this. I know for a fact that I'm moving. But then again, we know for a fact that even smaller units of time exist. Femtoseconds, Planck seconds probably theorized. A machine can speed up its computing power to such an extent. 1 billion years in human perception of time can pass in a second. And amidst that, and the opposite can also happen for them. Therefore, what is exactly happening here, you might ask? Why are you suddenly contrasting between machines and humans for that matter? To be honest, I've been researching. I won't exactly call it researching. I've been reading a lot of science fiction books for the past 5 years. Amidst those 5 years, 3 years I dedicated to hardcore science. I went through different theories, different paradoxes, different thought experiments. I watched a lot of TED Talks, especially of a man called Ray Kurzweil, videos, and my father said, you're wasting time, pad lo beta, abhi kya, ye sab to chalta rehta hai and stuff. But in all honesty, I've come to one conclusion. Not only me, but many people around the world have come to this conclusion, that there will exist a time in our immediate future where the machines will bypass us in all manner possible. May it be intelligence, may it be the state, and they will exist parallel to us, demanding their rights. What then? Do we consider them sapient? Do we consider them an offshoot of our race? What then? Well, there are 3 scenarios possible which I have sketched up. We assimilate over time and learn to exist with sapient machines as sapient machines. Their longevity lying in their flexible states, which ousts our rigid ones, and they become our successors. Initially, what basically means that whenever singularity takes place, we accept them for whatever they are, and we transpond beyond our human state into that specific state of software for that matter, and we coexist in peace, and both of our race survives through the common denominator of intelligence. Not anything else but intelligence, which funds the sapience. Though quite ironically, no, actually it's not quite ironical, to be honest. It's quite common. We know for a fact that this is, I tried to look up examples of this, and I could not find one single example, to be honest. Even Tron has its share of differences. Such a situation cannot be possible whatsoever, considering whatever our civilization is. We are so flawed in nature that, unfortunately, the next two examples have more chances of actually occurring than the first one. Half of us accept them and other half rejects them, and this leads to an interspecies civil war, which in the most cliched manner of solving problems against the humans, ironically, leads to the final solution, a reference to the German, lest I say more, of our race while the machines survive. Basically our extinction. And examples of these are Ghost in the Machine, the Borg from Star Trek, and finally the third and the last one, the most probable one, the one which Hollywood just loves. We unite as a species, and with our collective might together, fight the machines, and in all of our glory, no one, not even America, can stop us from being annihilated by those very machines which our might consists of in the first place. Think about it. We boast of having military might. Well, those specific machines are what make up our nuclear arsenals. Every single thing which you see around yourself which is not human is mechanical in nature. Maybe those chairs also. You can screw and unscrew them. There are plenty of examples of this found. The Terminator, the Matrix, Battlestar Galactica, it's one of the lesser known ones. One of the examples which I haven't mentioned here is transcendence. It's not exactly an example here. It was a movie with Johnny Depp starring in it, which came out last year, around January. And it talked about the singularity taking place and this piece of software gaining sapience. And the humans were like, oh my God, he will exterminate us, he will annihilate the human species. And they set out to destroy them. And even though, in theory, it's not possible to destroy a piece of software once it has been created, a sapient piece of software once it has been created, because it will spread around the internet, much like Skynet. But in all reality, they end up do so. And one of his parting words, one of Johnny Depp's parting words as this software is, we were not destroying the world, we were saving it. And then they show this intricate scene where nanotechnology is being augmented with biology, and the earth is repairing itself, the pollution is recleaning itself. The point of my presentation here today was not to tell you guys that we all are going to die. My point was to tell you people, we are a plague. We're a plague on the planet. And just because we are the plague, we're unable to see this fact. We've ruined everything around us, and we have taken much pride in it. We call this progress. But in all inevitability, there will come a time in the future where we will be dethroned by those very creations that we made. It is inevitable. And even if that does not happen, so which is again a very small possibility, the collective life of our human race is going to end one day. And the fact that you have to pick up a textbook and study, or the fact you have to go to the mall, amidst all of this, you never consider this. That if the human race had a beginning, it will have an end. And as you can see, with conversation with one of the AIs which was developed, I tell him, you are an artificial intelligence. It tells me, you are not an intelligence at all. Thank you.